You guys look very strange. I don't know why this is. Are you recording this?
Yeah, because we need it for.
Okay, we're gonna look through it like for take out.
Okay.
Like,
make sure this doesn't go anywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
No, don't worry.
Sees between us.
Okay. Look very strange in your ties. Okay. How you guys doing?
Very good.
We're at school right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. How can I help?
So basically, we've given you like a brief example, like what we are doing. It's our geography, like internal assessment, basically, where we have decided to do a similar kind of research question. My research question is, how is development affecting mangroves or intertidal zones? And his
With the to extent is the mangrove, eastern mangroves, and ecotourism, a sustainable ecotourism tourist attraction.
Say that again. Give me your question again.
To what extent are the eastern mangroves a sustainable ecotourism attraction?
Okay. All right. Let me. All right. So you want to know if development is affecting mangroves?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay. The answer to that is yes. Yes, it is affecting the mangroves, and it is up to guys like you to actually find out how it is affecting the mangroves. Everything affects everything, right? Anything you do will affect anything around you. Yeah. And that is just common sense. You don't need to be a scientist to figure it out. You don't need to, it's just common sense that things affect negatively as well as positively sometimes, all right? Development has affected the mangroves greatly. For instance, Jubail Island is now being developed into a community. And Jubail Island is known for its gazelles and flamingos. It has a variety of sea life as well, all mangroves do. And now with the development of all of that, you have to think of sound, you have to think of visual. You can't just put a building there and say like, oh, it doesn't affect the mangroves, we've built it sustainably.
Everything has a effect.
There is also influence, you could say. All right, I have to use appropriate words with you guys, so I am trying to avoid the words such as bribery. And yes, it does happen in this industry, because if somebody says they're doing something sustainably, all they need to do is get a certificate from a well-known sustainable yeah, and basically they're allowed to develop. All right.
Bill, a quick question on like the money situation, right? Would you say there's a phrase going around saying money is king? Would you agree with that to do with development as well? Like, would you say money has more influence over environment than actual protection for the habitat?
Oh, it's a very hard question to answer, and it's a very dangerous question to answer. Yeah, money will influence a lot of people to do a lot of things. So yes, there is, unless you're very chivalrous and you actually can say no to it. Desperation is desperation. People need money. Money makes everything work. And it's as sad as that sounds, it is true. It is actually true. I mean, there's no denying it. Yeah. I wouldn't like to use the term money is king. I do believe in people, and I do believe in doing the right thing. But when it comes down to it, one person with his heart in the right place is not going to be able to do very much to somebody with his hands in his pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way it is, like, we have like a few questions that we want to ask you.
Go for it, man.
Okay.
Just don't get me into trouble, man.
No,
Yeah,
that's
don't
not,
worry.
yeah.
They were like actually questions.
all to do with our eyes, nothing else.
Okay.
Okay.
So, like for pollution, we're asking the first question is, to what extent is littering a major concern in the park, and what management strategies are in place? Are they effective?
Well, look, as far as Nukata being, when Nukata started doing this program that we started, which is an educational program, we believe that it is through education people realize a lot. Now, tourism the main function of tourism is to bring in people, okay? And as long as people are spending money, then that is helping an industry, helping a country too. There is a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And if you make people feel very comfortable, they tend to go to places, okay? For instance, here's a small example. You have a wonderful boat, okay? It's air conditioned, it's got a toilet on it, and you're served food and beverages. People feel like, oh yeah, wow, now that's something I'd like, and I'd like to go out there into the mangroves, which is a wildlife sanctuary, okay? Now what you're bringing is everything with you, everything that pollutes, all right? You got noise pollution, you got gas, you're bringing stuff in, littering, all of that. And there is no point in putting dustbins out in the mangroves because all you're doing is encouraging people to come there with stuff that litters and leave it there. And the issue with taking anything into a wildlife area is that the wildlife are very curious things, just like we are, okay? And they're going to go and investigate that, all right? And they're going to injure themselves by either swallowing something they shouldn't have. And you have to understand that most of the food that we eat has a lot of preservatives in it. The preservatives and stuff like that are meant to attract us back to that food, all right? They don't consume things like that. It does affect them. Littering is a big part. If you educate people and tell them what you bring with you, take back with you. If you're out there in wildlife, stay with wildlife. Okay, become part of that. All right. Yeah. But littering is a big problem. And yes, it is an issue now because they have sanctioned dustbins to be put onto Fox Beach, which is very sad. You guys have witnessed the overflow of that.
Yep.
Yeah, you showed us.
Yeah, it's best to actually keep in mind wherever you're going, take whatever you want with you, but bring back all of it with you. Don't leave anything behind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, are there like other management strategies like in the future that apart from dustbins, like anything that they want to implement?
Yeah, there's a variety of things, but again, implementing them out there, it is basically, I think the best thing to do is educate people
Yeah.
not to take in stuff. And that is the best way to do it. Because yes, they'll you know, if it's just 2 dustbins out there and they say, oh, the dustbins are overflowing, guess what they're going to be doing? They'll bring 5 dustbins out there. Okay, that's just going to encourage more people to bring stuff in. And you can't leave it there. I was, where did I go to? I went to Alhair Forest the other day. Alhair Forest is a natural forest of gaffa trees, very beautiful place. A lot of people like to go there and camp. Sad part about it is they think that if they put everything into a black garbage bag and leave it there, the dustbin fairy is going to come and collect it. It is left out there for months at a time. Camels go out there, they tear things apart, things are just thrown everywhere. That is the issue with things. You have to educate people that this is not, I wouldn't come to your house and I wouldn't come to your school and leave packets of, like coffee cups and, it's just courtesy. You're in someone's house, you respect their house, you don't litter it. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
It's just common sense. Everything that you guys have to do is just base it down to one thing, just absolute common sense, And that is one thing I feel that people don't, it's taken away from people, common sense, because they're always asking a question. They're always like, can I go out there in a speedboat? Yes, you can. But then your next question is, why can't I see the flamingos? Common sense says if you make a lot of noise, you get out there really quick, you're moving too fast, you're not going to see these things, right? So always base everything down to that. Yeah.
Okay, so education is the best strategy. Okay, so the next question is, what are the main sources of noise pollution in the Eastern mangroves, and how has recent development and new technology contributed to this pollution?
Sorry, let me get that again. What
are the main sources of noise pollution?
Okay. And okay, there's 2-part question. So let's answer the first one.
Yeah.
Main source of noise pollution used to be boats in the area, especially jet skis and speedboats. Of course, the EAD does implement speed and everything, so you have to be at 5 knots because you cannot create a wake. The wake damages the roots of the mangroves. But then again, that is also contradictory because they're the guys who also sanction the dredging of the mangroves for bigger vessels to get inside. So main source of noise pollution used to be boats, but now with the bridge that is built across, which again, it's balancing things out. All right. The country is trying to make it easier for people to access areas, make it easier for traffic, lessen the flow of traffic, which also helps with the pollution situation. But now we've got cars going across that.
Do
That
you
again,
do you think the bridge has any sort of noise cancellation or anything?
I haven't been on the bridge. I haven't been on the bridge yet. I do know the smaller mangroves, which is on the highway, on the Abu Dhabi main highway. I can't get the name of the highway. They do have these noise cancellation, I don't know, these domes. So when you drive across, it doesn't affect the wildlife on the other side. I don't know about the bridge, and I don't know actually. I have to be honest and say I don't know how far the bridge has affected the wildlife. It is quite high. It goes above the mangroves. But then again, there's also the other part to it, is building it, is using machinery that I don't know. I don't know what kind of machinery you use to build stuff like this, but that's a lot of noise there. Okay. And some of that work, you have to think construction work sometimes has to be done 24 hours because it has to be, I don't know, cement needs to be dealt with really quickly and can't be stopped. So it needs to go on overnight. Again, all of that has affected wildlife. I know that for sure because they did cut down, or maybe I should have mentioned this earlier. When they started to build the bridge, the area that you kayaked through, okay, was from where Nukata is and you kayak straight in front. You would have actually had to kayak in front. You would have to turn right. You'd have to go around the mangrove and then get into the forest. They've actually cut down that main section of forest, split it, dredged the entire area. So now there are two sections out there. So that's something you have to think about. That is also heavy noise pollution, and of course the boats.
I have a add-on question to this, right? Dale, as you observe most of what happens at the mangrove and you observe the habitat, right? Through the building of this like bridge that links parts of Abu Dhabi together, have you seen like a decrease in habitat or any decrease in wildlife that you could observe from like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen when they did cut down the forest, there was a time where a lot of birds were in the air. And people thought that it was very beautiful to see all these birds hovering around. But it's why they were hovering around, because a lot of their homes had been taken away from them. So they're circling around quite confused and probably emotionally, devastated. I mean, who wouldn't be? You can't just say like human beings have emotion and other creatures don't. If you got a pet or if you've been around an animal, it has emotion, right? If it can give birth to something, and if it can care for it, it's got emotion. Yeah. So yes, since the building of it, when the start of the building of it, there was a lot of bird life that was terribly shaken up. And the second thing is the silting of the water. The water wasn't clear anymore. It was because obviously they're dredging up. The silting of the water, that silt does affect fish. From my experience as a diver and doing marine conservation, when they built the Palm Islands, the silting of that did affect a lot of the fish that they couldn't breathe because the water and the silt gets into the gills. So there was a lot of fish over there. So I would know, I haven't seen it, but I would know that it has affected marine life.
What do you think was the fate of these birds? Like, did they end up migrating? Did they end up dying? What happened?
No, I can't answer that question, but I do think they would have migrated. Most birds do that. They move to different sections. The mangrove, I hope you have a map of it, is massive. It's a huge. We are only kayaking that one tiny section because it would take you a day or hours to get to many of the locations around. And most of it you can't access because the sea palace is in that area. So it's government, it's a highness of property. So, and it's good that it's that way because at least nobody's getting in there. So it's quite protected. And I think, yeah, the birds would have migrated out there, started all over again. But it's still that shock. I mean, you have to think of that.
So they migrate
quite-
to the park, yeah?
Yeah, I think they would, but I also think that some of them,
That's fair.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I haven't visually seen it, but I would feel that you have to think. I'm speculating. I'm just thinking. I think some of them will be in terrible shock. That I mean, what would you do? Right now, there was an earthquake in Turkey. Okay, the place is devastated. Buildings have fallen. Yeah, homes are done. What do you want to do? Do you want to hang about, or do you want to move someplace else?
Move somewhere.
No, somewhere else.
Like say, you guys move someplace else. Some people, they have the heart and soul in a certain area, and that can affect a human being, and you know, sad things can happen.
So the next question is the local government taking any other actions to preserve the mangroves?
Yes, they do. They have a lot of initiative and everything out there. The WWF and the Environmental Agency Abu Dhabi do try to take steps to do a lot, but again, in the society that we live in, the majority of that is comfort and a good time, I would say. And there is not a lot of focus on nature, even though they try to promote it a lot. It's also the fact that for people to get out into that nature, they require development.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's a simple thing. Not a lot of people can kayak, right? And they require a mode of transportation. So it's also that. So they do want to educate people and tell people there is this wonderful area that needs to be protected and this is natural wildlife, but they need to develop it for people to get out there. One small example is the Jubail Island walk. All right, you guys have heard about it. You can Google it. It's a nice. You can just walk around the entire park, but it took development to do that. Development affects wildlife. Yeah, but that's how they get the people out there, because nobody wants to actually walk about in mud.
Is there like regulations, like any other regulations apart from educating people? Are they like putting limits to access, limits to
Numbers,
action?
yes, there are numbers that they. Well, Nukata has tried to tell the Emirates, the Environmental Agency Abu Dhabi, that they need to limit numbers, and I believe it is regulated, but there can be an overflow because you also have to think that in a good season, you've got a time scale to get people out there, and it's revenue, everything. Even if Nukata is a business too, it's revenue, right? We limit our numbers. We put our foot down at 60. All right, just a small example I'm giving you. Okay, it's an example. 60 people out in the mangroves at one time. That's a group, because one is safety, two is nobody's going to actually enjoy it when you have that many people, and a bunch of people, like in the numbers of like 60 people coming out of it, looks quite threatening to a lot of wildlife. So that's why we've got to limit, and we have to regulate that limitation. And they do that, but I have seen things happen in the mangroves that aren't regulated. We do try to inform them that certain things are taking place as well. You know, now we've got technology, we got videos, we got photographs. So yes, they do take a very
Things like motorboats.
fun. Yeah, motorboats, jet skis.
Yeah, these
Things
are
like that.
regulated. They
Yeah.
have to be regulated more in the future.
Yes. Yeah. And nowadays, I believe the Maritime Authority, by the way, who sends us circulars all the time, they are regulating a lot of it. They want things to be licensed. They want them to make sure that it's actually clean energy being used and where they can actually use them. So it is developing. Abu Dhabi is developing, and it is actually regulating a lot. For instance, small thing is what's the name of the beach? I think it's Saadiyat Beach. Yes. Saadiyat Beach, you can't use any light or develop, I think, about 200 meters in front of the ocean. Reason for that is the turtles come up to still nest there. So they make sure the entire area over there, which has hotels and nightlife and residents and everything, that the lights they use do not affect the area, as well as the cars and everything. So that kind of small regulation that the government is doing is a big deal.
Yeah. Is there any kind of, because next to the Eastern Mangroves, you have obviously the Anantara Hotel.
Yeah.
Is there such regulations with the hotel on light towards the mangroves or noise pollution?
No, the Anantara Hotel prides itself on nature. all the Anantara hotels around the world, you will notice that include natural or nature habitat and everything. So they do try to inform their guests and everything that you know, it's a natural habitat and do respect it and everything. That's the whole idea of having a hotel there. With regard to light in that area of the mangroves, it is on the border. You could say it's on the outside of the mangroves because the entire highway goes right across. Yeah. So the main bit is on the inside of the mangroves. So I wouldn't say that affects it too much, though you do see flamingos coming out there. So.
Okay, so I like in comparison to like motorboats, jet skis, and environmentally friendly vessels like kayaks and other ones that are safe for the environment. Like how much like how do you compare them? Which ones is more used? Like, is there an increase in a certain type? Is there a decrease in the other type? Like and so on.
Yeah, well, actually, I can't answer that question either, can I? Because I don't know about the other places and stuff. I do know that kayaking is the main mode of transportation used by everyone because one is it's the adventure of actually being in a kayak, and two, it is also cheaper. And if you've got the right guides, they can actually take you to interact with a lot of nature out there. And so I would say the kayaks because I do know there are water sports companies out there. They deal with motorized vessels and everything. I'm trying not to use the terms here because I don't want you to put in, like rhino rides or donut boats. You can't do that.
Okay, but the water sports ones, are they increasing?
Yeah, what they started to do is they started to purchase more kayaks because they've realized that kayaking gets you closer to nature. Kayaking takes you in there, and it's an adventure too. So they've started.
It's a good, like it's improving in terms of effect on
yeah, I would say it's improving, but that is also the people's perspective.
Yeah, because there's lack of education, so they need.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, I mean, in today's society, everything's on social media, so they want to get themselves out there too, and it looks a lot more adventurous when you're in a kayak rather than sitting at the back of a boat when the vessel is moving with a captain there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it makes you look more adventurous because you're taking the initiative, you're taking the risk, you're getting out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I also have one more question. Do you know, like, do you have like any idea of in terms of numbers of how many like?
Sorry?
Do you have any idea in terms of numbers of how many companies that actually like do motorboats and stuff like that, and companies like Nukhada that prefer to do like environmentally friendly vessels?
I would say most of the companies out there in the mangroves, I believe there are 4 main companies out there that deal with the water, maritime stuff, and all of them use motorized vessels of some sort. However, some of the vessels, how do I not say the names? Some of the vessels use electricity rather than gas. Okay, it's like if you look up the donut boats, but don't use the name donut boats, right? They're quite, they use solar power as well to move the vessel. And it's just, again, it's from the people's point of view, you're able to socialize a little bit better. I'm sorry if that keeps going off. That is the office line, and it will keep going off. Yeah, they're able to socialize a bit better when people are together, so they choose vessels that they can all be together. And it's safety to security. Some people aren't as easygoing as in water. Some people are not aquatic. And I would say most of them do use some sort of motorized vessel because they want to get as many people out there. We'll still stick with the kayaks though, because for us, it's not the actual kayaking, it's more of the nature and interaction with that.
Yeah.
So it will be paddle boats and kayaks. Hello.
Hi, how you doing, Dale?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Are you keeping an eye on these things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I'd just pop in. Sorry to interrupt your flow.
I don't know. I'm sure they don't mind either.
Yeah. Okay, so like the ones that are more electrically powered, they're better for the environment because it reduces the CO2 emissions, but they still also cause more noise pollution than the kayak.
Yes. And there's
It's better than motorboats, but it's still not as good as kayaking.
it's still that, because you'll also have to think again, it's the people, you know. I mean, if the company is on the mangroves, and they do this, the EAD tries to enforce this, but it needs to be a little bit stronger. If every one of us actually said, look, this is a natural habitat, you have to respect it, that would give them some idea of where they're going into. But it's promoted as, this is a wonderful place to be. It's beautiful, it's green, you can go for a swim. And now they've left out the aspect where it is a wildlife sanctuary. Okay. So what they do is they'll bring in their speakers, they'll bring in their phones, they'll bring in, you know, they're playing music out there. They haven't realized that that's not how you connect with nature.
Yeah, and
And
in terms of the business activity, I think like the way it is, they're like catering to the needs of the market. So if the people want like motorboats, they're gonna increase motorboats. If people realize that it's worse, they're gonna decrease the motorboats. But also like it's like an interlinked cycle where like more education is gonna it's gonna improve the perception of people, which actually affects the business activity. So it comes back all to the business activity and the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so like in terms of sustainability and the local community, is there like a limitation on the not this question? Are there people like limited to certain areas that they're not allowed to access in the mangroves?
Yes. Yeah. There are certain areas in the mangroves that are not accessible. Due to it is also for protection, but it is private property. So they're not allowed in certain areas of the mangroves, which allows it to thrive a little bit.
Is it private property for the government, or like what do you mean by
I think that has to do with the royal family.
Okay.
So, I mean, all I know is that the Eastern Mangroves does have the sea palace out there. So that entire area, the whole zone, is off limits. Yeah, and
But
it's
do
good.
you think the palace itself would affect the mangroves?
I can't answer that question, man.
Okay. Okay. So,
I just got a kid. I don't want to get shot. All right.
okay. So are there also like limits to like tourist conduct? Are there like rules on how they're supposed to behave that are in place by the
That is the one thing that is lacking. That's the one thing that is lacking. It's a very good question. It does lack that because they don't know. It's a place that it's like the beach, you know. I mean, they think it's a place that you come over. They just haven't realized that the beach as well it's to do with wildlife. And you know, if we influence the fact that it is a protected sanctuary, how you need to interact over here, you know, whatever you bring with you, take away with you. If they enforced it with fines saying that you can't leave stuff out here, that will give people a better understanding of how to interact. What we need is ranges, basically, which we don't have.
So what we need is like also sanctions. Sanctions are going to improve the education. So sanctions education would lead to better behavior, tourist conduct, and less effect on the wildlife.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So are there also like so they need like limitations in terms of like noise and waste pollution caused by the tourists and visitors, by setting more rules, which should be something done in the future, hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
So,
You know, I mean, it's I wouldn't say rules. Rules is quite strict, and you know, it's meant for enjoyment. So the last thing you want to do in enjoyment is say, this is the rules. You've just taken away the enjoyment of it. Okay. I would say I'd remove the word rules and I'd put down the word education. All right. Show them and help them realize. And once they realize, they will implement. All right. But if they don't know, then they don't know. You know, somebody's going to be having a Coca-Cola out there and they're going to go like, where can I leave my can? Whereas if it was already known to them, you know, please bring a reusable bottle of water, we'll fill it up for you over there. They know what to expect. Yeah, but also, they don't. They come over with whatever, you know.
Yeah. So there's like, is there like education, especially like targeting the younger visitors, younger generation, like in terms of promoting, protecting wildlife and biodiversity, and like does the experience of visiting the mangrove and anyway aim to leave a legacy for visitors to improve their awareness of
Yes.
the Eastern mangroves?
Yeah. The program that there are other companies that also have their own education program. There's the planting of mangroves, which I believe the Mangrove Walk do. So each one of them have that program. And the last school that we did, which was an American school, they were very much influenced by how important the mangroves were, that they chose to actually do something within their school and not, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's how you improve your living that will actually aid in the help of natural habitats. Yeah. And what they chose to do is to eradicate all plastic from their schools and to stop their, I don't know if it's, I believe, I mean, in my days, we never had a coffee shop in the school, but they had a coffee shop in the school. But stop the use of cups and everything, bring in reusable things, which, yeah, you'd have to understand a parent that's going to pick up his kid after a hard day of work wouldn't mind a cup of coffee, but now he's got to bring his own cup.
So, yeah, what's it called? We've been on many, like a few kayaks with your company, and we've been educated about the mangroves, right? And one specific development plan you've always talked about with us is the development of Reem Island, which is right across the eastern mangroves.
Yeah.
Is there almost like as Reem Island is seen to be like a growing area in Abu Dhabi, the capital, is there a fear that it might expand more and take more of the eastern mangroves, like the space it already has taken?
Yeah, possibility. I mean, everything is expanding. I don't know the committee that I need to approach to talk about natural habitats, but the Emirates Wildlife do speak about a lot of their habitats and everything, but you never know. You'll have to think of a small example is Jubail Island. Jubail Island is promoting living next to nature. And because of that, they've begun to develop on the island. All right. So the possibility is there. You have to also think about it's all a business. It's all revenue. If it's going to generate the revenue, they will do that.
So there has to be more ethics in place.
Yeah, and there has to be. I mean, look, for a very long time, the Great Barrier Reef in Australia was protected, but that has been, I would say, what's the word I want to use? I don't know, overthrown or something, because it's more important for this pipeline to be built out there because of the revenue that it will bring in, the ease. And of course, they also mentioned that if the pipeline is there, then there is no need for ships to get in there, which means it's now they're weighing the options of which one is more sustainable.
Yeah.
Getting about 100 ships to go in to do all of this, and just having one pipeline. And there's your balance of, which is the better way to do it. But again, anything you develop will affect nature.
Well, in different levels according to much regulations you put in place.
Yeah, it's our way of doing things. I mean, we all have to do it. I'm not a saint here. I drive a 4-wheel drive. I do it to get into areas, but again, it's a 4-wheel drive.
Yes.
It does have an effect. Right? It's loud. It guzzles a lot of gas and it pollutes. But that's how I get to interact with nature. I need to get into that area to do it. So it's it's things.
You know how development, obviously, from what we've talked about since the meeting has started, it does affect. But there's been like we said, the bridge. There's been a new vast majority of like the development of transport lanes to areas such as the mangroves. Would you say that might be an advantage of development to get access to
get access? If you're using transport provided, and the UAE takes every initiative to work on that. It wants to break down its carbon emission. I can't remember exactly what the article said, but it wants to do it by 2024 or something like that. And the UAE does take those initiatives, and we are provided with every mode of transportation. We just it's a lifestyle, I suppose. You know, I mean, and yes, I would say yes, that is one big initiative. They do that.
And last thing for development, there's companies within the mangroves such as Nokada, which is you're a part of. Would you say they help local business owners majority, or is there more of like a almost company based, more of like it's not locally as one person would invest in it?
So like you're asking are businesses serving
Yeah.
the mangroves locally owned?
Exactly.
So are they
So
like
yeah, businesses. Ask the question again.
are the businesses serving the mangroves locally
Yeah.
owned or are they owned by foreign investors?
Some of them are foreign investors, some of them are locally owned.
Mhm.
Or are they like co-owned by investors
They
and
yeah, they are co-owned.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of them, and some of them are owned privately as well. Yeah, one or two of them are owned privately, as in a person owns them.
Mhm.
And for us, it's our partnership is an Emirati and a Brit, so that's how our company functions.
do you think it's do you think like it's better for these businesses to be managed by locals rather than foreign people?
That's tough to answer because one is foreigners do bring in their ideas and their their advantages to it, because you have to remember that everything around us is actually foreign. I mean, they invested in this country, and that's how the UAE was developed, right?
Mhm.
And the other most important aspect is the locals now are proud of their country, and yes, they will do a lot more to actually,
Like it.
yeah. But you need that again, it comes down to ideas and exchanging, whatever it is. And it's both, I would say. It's both foreigners having a good and bad experience of what happened wherever they come from. They can bring that to the table. And the locals bring their pride and everything and how this land has been for them, So it's both. It's both. You need both. It's because it's an idea, and an idea has to be shared.
Yeah.
You can't say, the foreign guys do it better because they got the experience.
Bring in like entrepreneurship. Yeah, like they bring in new ideas, but the local also like there needs to be like a more emphasis on the involvement of the local people because
Yeah.
locals would care more for their
Yeah, and they do as well.
Also, I think it comes back to like the locals, like when they like it has to benefit the locals more than people that are not local because it's
Yeah.
part of ecotourism to be involved with the local community. Yeah.
Absolutely, because this is theirs. I mean, we come here, we live here, but we leave here as well. Okay, so the connection that we have to this place it's in our heads that we are going to move. But for them, this is where they stay. This is where they're going to stay.
So it has to be long-term vision for them.
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question. How does the local community and local citizens benefit from tourist activity at the mangroves? Does it come back with an advantage in any way to the local people?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, say that question again. Let me get every bit of it.
How does the local community and local citizens benefit from tourist activity at the mangroves?
Benefit from tourist activity at mangroves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did they benefit? I don't get it.
Like
No,
like
I mean, they've got, look, it's like anything. I don't know. Where are you from, firstly?
I'm Egyptian, he's Sri Lankan.
Okay, fine. So you're Egyptian and you've got pride in where the pyramids are, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that benefits you because people come out there to Egypt to see it, right? And that again in turn has benefits for the country because that is everything out there. They experience the whole lifestyle, music, the food, all of that. All of that is
Yeah, but I think like this, I think this question is like more suited if you're speaking about ecotourism and somewhere that's less developed, because usually like the emphasis should be like if somewhere like we're talking about Zimbabwe, for example, there's like
Yeah.
activities that it has to like benefit the local people because they're more in need. But it's not as relevant here in the UAE because
It's not as relevant here in the UAE. No, it is not. Okay, that's the question. Yeah, no, it's not as relevant, but it is pride as well, right? They are proud that this is a natural forest out here. I mean, they live by the words of His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, who said, that nature is more important than actually having, all the money in the world and everything. And his initiative is why a lot of this protection is actually taking place, because he loved nature. He loved, everything, the deserts, the forest, the mangroves, the ocean, all of it. And he had that passion. So I would say it's a pride, I mean,
benefits them in
without,
terms of fight, but it's not as much in terms of like materialistic benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is like the local culture preserved in the tourism activities at the mangroves? Are they preserved?
how's the local culture?
Yeah, is it preserved in the mangroves in any way?
That's another difficult one. I don't know about culture in the mangroves. I mean, would they have culture associated with
I think
mangroves?
maybe like in terms of that, like do you think that people are like are they respecting the Emirati culture? Are they like also in terms of conduct, are they acting in a way that's respectful to the UAE
Okay. Yeah,
and
no,
respecting the culture in general?
no, that we try to enforce that as much as possible. That we are guests out here, and we do tell people, like on the Eastern Mangroves, there are areas that you can go into to sunbathe and do whatever, but as long as you're at that launch point, please be respectful. Okay, don't stroll up over there in a bikini or a pair of boat shorts and everything. You need to be respectful because it is, number one, is a residential area. Number two, there's a culture thing. Right? So they are informed about this before they actually come over for a tour. And once they're, pardon?
Is there anything else to do with like culture that's like apart from conduct?
Culture, I can't think of one thing.
So what's it called? Almost like a stereotypical thing about Arab culture is loud music, loud, a lot of like loud activity. And there's been, as you said, the canal has been dug up to suit boats and specifically like the yacht, like the small yachts. Would
Yep.
you say those kind of yachts, even though they're bringing people in, it's more of a harm than a benefit, especially to the mangroves?
There's a yes and no to that answer. So I'd say yes.
Do you think people are actually like playing loud music at the mangroves?
They do play a lot of loud music, yes.
Mhm.
They come out there to enjoy themselves, and yes, part of it is in the enjoyment, but yes, it does affect them. So and so that would be the negative point, that it does affect the wildlife, and they do play a lot of loud.
In terms of what parts of the culture are emphasized, like something like some parts of the culture that sometimes like the culture and the wildlife they're like interlinked. They have to like respect this as well as this. So
Yeah.
something like music you have to not emphasize as much to because the wildlife is more important for the culture as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then again, it also brings people, and without people, there won't be questions asked. If people are willing to ask those questions, and once those questions are asked, then there you go. They realize what they can and can't do.
Yeah, so it's more about awareness. Okay.
Awareness is,
Just
and
like
that's what we want the environmental agency to enforce on everyone out there on the mangroves. Just like they enforce licensing for boats and everything, they need to enforce something, to do with nature. What you can't do, what you can bring in, what you can't bring in, things like that. And if that is done, yay.
do you think if there's like they're actually taking like serious actions, or is it like there has to be more emphasis in the future? Or is it like because sometimes like when you're trying to improve something, there might not be like as much commitment. Like I'm trying to say like, are they like taking real actions in real time, like right now? Definitely.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The process of it is slow, is because the process is slow because we don't have the majority of people, who are interested in nature. Look, everybody's got interests, right? Even you, me, we all have different interests. So Maybe you like fast cars and that's your interest. Okay. And I like to be outdoors in nature, and that's my interest. So the majority of people wanting to do other things which require a lot more development is more than there is, for the people who actually want to take an initiative and protect nature and things like that. So that's why it's slow, but they are doing their best for it. They are without a doubt doing their best, and the initiative is great, but it's numbers.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, do you think tourism at the mangroves is sustainable? How is ecotourism enforced, like overall?
Do I think tourism at the mangroves is sustainable? I think it needs to improve a lot more. That's what I'm going to leave it at. Okay.
Do you think
That's
it's to like, there's like the ecotourism and there's like the part of tourism where they do not pay as much attention. But do you think the ecotourism part, like the kayaking, all that stuff, do you think it is stable on its own? Like if we increase this and limit the other type of tourism, which is more like going out and
Parting.
boats,
Yeah.
if we like get rid of this, like the kayaking itself, it's going well. Like it's not damaging the environment at
Yep.
all. Was it damaging the environment even a little bit?
There's always some damage. Okay. Like I said, everything you do is going to influence something else. Okay. But I think it's the least amount of damage, because you're on a kayak on the surface of water. Unless you're, I don't know, gouging through, well, we couldn't take you guys into the channels because there was a big group of you. But if you ever went through the channels, you're actually going over the root systems, things like that. It's not causing any damage or anything, but you're there. You're a presence over there.
But do you think we should like take consideration of where we step foot on, where the footpath erosion takes place? Like should we not like walk next to the trees? Should we limit these kind of activities in the mangroves? Or do you think it doesn't matter? Like
No, I do think everything matters. Everything does matter, but without actually bringing people out there to tell them about this place, then how would they know what to do? So you've got to bring them in there. They've got to interact there. So, but if you're doing the least amount of influencing, I'd say, then that's okay. All right. Without it, would you guys be sitting there asking me these questions? So you'd have to get out there, you'd have to walk around, you'd have to see the roots, you'd have to walk on those roots. You'd have to know if you damaged something. I mean, one of the questions was asked, like, is it okay to walk on these roots because they're breaking? No, it's not okay to walk on the roots that they're breaking, but there's, 5 fingers on your hand. If you break one, you can still use the other 4, right? So it's a matter of how you look at it. And the important aspect is what you're doing right now. What are you doing right now? You've come up with this program to actually talk about this stuff. Now, would you be talking about this? Would you be trying to educate others? Would you be actually trying to do this project that you're doing without actually being there? You can't imagine it. You'd have to experience it. And what you've done is you've experienced it.
So there's like a few more questions, just like one more question or two.
Go for it.
About the tourism satisfaction itself, and tourism, how satisfied are the tourists from the experience, and what stands out as the limitation of the tourist experience? Like, are they generally happy? Is there anything that concerning tourists?
So far, I think, look, the experience they go through is wonderful. We've never had any bad feedback from the experience itself. Okay. Being out there, enjoying a kayak, watching the sunset, interacting, if you're ever lucky, interacting with nature, with wildlife and stuff, that experience is fantastic. There is no negativity to that at all. However, there is the only negativity I would say is getting there, dealing with it.
Affecting the environment, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. That process. And then of course there's the minor stuff like somebody got sunburned. Can't do anything about it.
Do you get any feedback in terms like way people telling you like so being great to see this as well, being great to do this as well, like anything else that they were looking for that they usually like look for in the future? Or
you'll always get that feedback because everybody wants an experience, everybody wants to see a flamingo, but a flamingo, flamingo's got its own head, so it's there one day, it's not. So we can't guarantee that experience, you know. And yeah, that would be. It's a small part, but nonetheless, the bigger part is the entire mangroves. So yes, they do want to see flamingos, and sometimes the flamingos aren't there, you know. And that's them.
So that's out of our control. That cannot be actually.
Yeah, it's out of our control. I mean, you might come out to the UAE expecting, you know, sunshine and blue skies, and you've got a sandstorm, and it's out of your control, man. You know.
Yeah.
So that kind of, yeah, we do get some of those experiences where they go like, oh, I didn't have a good time because of the weather or something like that. So that's it's out of our hands. It's out of our hands.
So do you think the tourism, like it's been increasing, especially like with Nukhada and everything else, they're increasing and people are like feeling more happier and visiting more and spreading the word. It's a great place.
Yeah, now it has just begun to pick up after COVID-19. After COVID-19, we did see an increase in fish life. It's because the schools weren't coming out, and you know, the tourists weren't coming out, and I think nature rejuvenated in a small way there, but the construction was still going on. And let's face facts. One thing was being developed rather than 5 things happening on the mangroves. So maybe COVID-19 did help out in a way by reducing all the numbers coming out there. The construction was a small thing, but you know, it was still a thing that had to go on, and it did cause a lot of issues, but it was one part. It wasn't everything together. It was the tourists, the construction, the cars, the boats, and everything. So it was the nature did rejuvenate in that way, in a small way at least.
What do you think? Do you think like ever since COVID-19 calmed down a bit, and people have been visiting more, do you think it's now starting to go badly again?
No, now, well, Nukhada is trying to enforce the marina that we're on to put out little circulars, letting people know that it's a protected area. You know, when you're coming in to do whatever you want to do, whether it's whatever mode of transportation you choose, just be aware that it's somebody else's house. It is a wildlife sanctuary. Just be aware of that. And in that small way, yeah, Nukhada has always done it anyway. Nukhada has always. The first thing we mentioned is you're about to enter a wildlife sanctuary. Yeah. We briefed that.
Comparison to pre-corona times, is it better now? Like in terms of one, the tourist experience, and 2, in terms of the effect on the wildlife, is it more damaging now, or is it less damaging than compared to corona?
Right now, it's the beginning stages, and we don't have that many tourists coming out. It's just begun. So to answer that question, we'll have to wait until 2024 summer. Then that would be 1 year cycle, because in the summertime nobody's out here, and then we'll be able to answer that question. But again, we want to tell the tourist authority as well that you are promoting a lot about Abu Dhabi. You're promoting Yas Island and for Ferrari World and things like that. And yes, you do put the beaches and the mangroves in there, but it would be good when you are doing those promotions to just mention there, you know, like wildlife sanctuary, you know, sanctuary, important word. Sustainability.
Is it not labeled as a wildlife sanctuary?
It is labeled as that, but when you, I don't know if you've ever been on a, you know, the flights coming into Abu Dhabi, they're showing everything, and they don't show there's that. They just show there's, look, it's a great place to be. You can go for a kayak, paddleboat, or get on a jet ski and things like that. It would be good to actually mention, you know, protected sanctuary, sustainability, environmental, you know, some words that just start triggering a person's mind as to what to expect when they get out there.
So that kind of awareness. Okay.
Yeah, so they don't show up over there with a big boom box and whole crate of drinks and, you know.
So is there like any additional comments regarding to the topics of ecotourism and sustainability, or regarding development that you would like to add?
Sorry, say that again. Any comments?
Are there any additional comments regarding the topics of ecotourism and sustainability, or regarding development that you would like to add?
I would like to, I don't know how to add it. I think there just needs to be a bit more awareness, that's all. you just need to make a person aware, and you have to do it the right way. Okay, you don't want to bore a person to death, but you need a few key bits in there to let them realize how important this place is.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. I don't think if people don't know, people won't care. There's a great line. Hang on, let me find this line. I put it at the end of all my emails, and I can't remember it. It's written by. Okay, in the end, we will only conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. And if you don't know, obviously you don't know, and you won't know whether you're doing the right thing, the wrong thing. And there's no right and wrong in the things that you do, but you're making simple mistakes. You just don't understand it. If you did, you'd have the respect for it. I'll send you the line, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks. But also, like, apart from improving education to increase awareness, do you think, of course, like like in terms of like the admin work and the government, the actual like admin of the tourist companies, they need to like impose like limitations on the amount of visitors or the amount of activities that they allow people to take part in. Like they need to impose actual limitations to the amount of motorboats, to the amount of stuff that they allow into the mangroves, and managing the pollution and all that stuff. Like all this stuff has to be improved on, as well as educating people. And these two things are like the key to making sure that ecotourism and sustainability is all good. Like there's no damage to the environment, or the damage to the environment is limited, as well as improving ensuring that the development does not have a lot of negative impacts on the environment, that they are limited as much as possible. Yeah,
You could say that more or less, but they will not stop that. You know that. Okay, they're living on tourism these days.
yeah,
Tourism is a big part. So I wouldn't say they're not going to limit numbers, but what they can do is enforce regulations.
yeah.
That
So-
would help. There's a place. I'll try to get you this name. I'll send you the article. So I'm a very big nature person, so I'm always out in nature. And there's a beautiful area which is close to Elaine. It's very mountainous, and it does have a reservoir, a natural reservoir. Then it's surrounded by trees and rocks, and you can go for a swim out there. They stopped people from going out there because they needed it to rejuvenate, one, and number two, they needed to clean it up, because a lot of people went out there and they started spray painting on the rocks and everything. But the government did do that. They actually closed the entire area off. Like no one was allowed to visit this area. So that kind of initiative was done. If you're thinking of doing that at the Eastern Mangroves, you'll have to think you're going to put a lot of people out of business. And again, it's the businesses that are paying the tax. Now we're being taxes to the government, and that is, it's how it works, and how it flows. So you can't close off an area now, because it's so important for the tourism. It's so important for the country's, I don't know what's the word for it, but the reason people need to visit this place, that you can't do that. But you can put in sanctions. Now, the environmental agency, before the development of the bridge, did have signs in 3 areas. One was at the entrance of the mangroves. 2 is on the beach that you guys visited. Okay, and 1 was at the far end of the mangroves. And these signs were put up there as Environmental Agency Abu Dhabi, and it actually stated there that you could not travel more than 5 knots. It stated there that this is a wildlife sanctuary, and it's a protected area, and a few bits about respecting culture and respecting wildlife were put down there. The sign on Fox Beach, I don't know if you guys took a picture of it, but I'll look through my archives and see if I have it, and I'll send that to you. Because I do believe, because it answers your question in regard to culture as well, because I think they've put up over there, like, yeah, something like that. So yeah, but then again, as you can tell, they've done their bit, but it needs to be enforced. All right, the companies that are out there, they need to enforce it too. They need to tell their guests that and they need to report behavior that is actually happening and not look the other way. You know, some of the people that actually work there need to be, you know, they need to be told as well. They need to, you need to tell guests, you need to report things that are going on. You know, there are incidents that have happened and people just look the other way, and you know, you ask the marina, like, has anyone reported this, because this was being done out there. I mean, fishing and stuff out there. And I said, no, they haven't reported it. I said, well, I got a few pictures and here you go, but have they taken it anywhere? I don't know, because I'll inquire later and say, like, was anything, you know, was there a follow-up to this? And that's an important thing. We need specific ranges. We need a specific body to report to. There is the environmental agency, yes, but I'm sure in life everybody has got things to do. They are busy. Will they take the time? It's what's most important that they need to deal with. So difficult. It's a difficult thing.
So companies, this is the last thing I want to ask. We talked mostly about education and how we need to influence that. I know, especially your company, Nukada, they take a lot of schools out kayaking, and also does, like, do you guys do like in live presentations? And how many schools would you say the company would influence, like, in a week, or is it like a certain amount in a year?
In a year, in a season, and the schools, remember that it goes according to the school calendar. So the schools usually come about, some of them take their outdoor activities from, what's it, November. So it's like September to November. Some of them come out in December, and then it's like you guys came out December, I think. I don't know. Did you? I don't know. But it's a season. It's only in this season that they get to come out. And we can have about, now this was pre-COVID. In 2018, there were 24 schools that came out to us, both Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And we had 2 international schools. One was from Sweden or Switzerland, one of those places. And yeah, I would say the program is beneficial for them because they, just like you guys, are the future of helping what's happening, you know. So yeah, it's important. I would like a lot more schools to come out, but everybody has, you know, an idea of what they want to teach their kids and everything, you know.
But that's maybe down to like advertising.
Pardon?
Maybe it's not advertising, like maybe showing more awareness to people that this is a good opportunity for you to learn about the environment.
Yeah, but then again, it's our program is, our program used to be very what's the word I want? It could be developed on. So like if you came out, what grade are you guys in again?
You're
13.
13.
Yeah, so I mean, if, like, say, sorry, need to.
He said no. He just said top. Well, how long was that? 1 hour and 30.
52 plus
1
8,
hour.
yeah.
So apart from this, like, I just need to ask him about this data. Should you ask him?
I swear we should. It's getting bored. Yeah, he's getting-
It might be actually.
Hi, sorry.
No
Yeah.
problems.
I'm not very digital savvy, so the phone rang. So yeah, sorry, what were we talking about?
About
Education,
Yeah.
basically. Schools.
schools, yeah.
Schools, yeah. I mean, that's where the change takes place, right? It starts with you guys, and you guys actually have, I mean, there are schools that have made changes in their school with regard to what they can do. And I always end my tour with you don't have to do a big thing, but it's what you do in your daily life that will affect a lot of other things. A lot of you don't never look at the mangroves and the pictures that I have of the littering and everything. It's not all that it's not all from people that just come over there and dump stuff there. It also has to do with uh, bins right outside your house, right outside school, the transporting of that. Things are moved from there, then the dumping of it and everything, things are moved. Somehow they get into the mangroves through drains or whatever it is. And as we've spoken about the mangroves, the root systems are filters. Once a tide comes in, brings in the lot, the tide goes out, it filters and holds all of that out there. So now that people are aware of that, it's what you can do about it. So that's why the education is important. That's why we want more schools to come out. So they realize, like, look, I buy a reusable bottle of water. I get a Tupperware box instead of glad wrap bags. I will implement it in my own life. Okay. And hopefully that small bit, that one cup, that one bottle will not hit any nature reserve, any forest, anything. That's the smallest thing that we can do. And on that note, please do remember, I also said that plastic is not bad. I know a lot of people are putting it out there, plastic, single use, blah, blah, blah. It's not bad. We're a plastic society. Something you have is made out of plastic. Your shirt buttons are made out of plastic. So, and it's how you actually use it. It's our state of mind. And we can get very, very, very lazy. Okay. That's how things go wrong. It's laziness. The person, please Google this, don't take my word for it, who invented the plastic bag for shopping, invented it as a reusable source of carrying goods. It is our sheer laziness, okay, that it has become a problem. All right. If we actually did, and what are we doing now? We're stopping plastic bags in all the supermarkets. Wow. We're selling canvas bags. Now, your kids will probably be doing this interview with somebody else saying we have a canvas bag problem because we got loads of canvas bags. And it's just laziness. It's our laziness, because even today I go to the shop and go like, damn, didn't bring a bag. I'll buy a canvas bag. And right now downstairs, I got a load of canvas bags, which I'm looking at, and I'm looking at it and I go like, this is the issue with the plastic bags. It's laziness. It's our laziness. We have to be able to, create a habit. And once you create a habit, you will do it. You wake up in the morning, you brush your hair, you brush your teeth. That's a habit. Okay. And you continue to do it without thinking about it, you will do it. Right? And we have to be able to create something in our world, in our society, in our lives, that we do this, that it doesn't become some lazy thing, that it doesn't become something we can forget. We have to do this in order to preserve natural habitats. Yeah. Because if you don't, all you'll do is you will pay to a consumer to provide. That's our problem. That's our issue. And it doesn't matter if it's a good thing. Canvas bags are good. Oh, paper bags are good. We are lazy. We will build on these things and they will become a problem.
Leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the questions.
Yeah, so those were the questions we wanted to ask you. You don't understand how much we appreciate you being
Cool.
here. Gonna help us.
Listen, I'll tell you what, whatever it is you're doing, if you can send me something that I can read about.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. And
we're gonna be finished by writing this like midway through March. So yeah, we will definitely email it to you.
because I would also like, I would like you guys to come back out with us.
We're coming today. We're
Yeah,
coming
and,
today.
and I want you to see for yourselves if it's progressed, if some changes happen from what you've done now to then.
We'll definitely come back, like even if it's like in a year, a few years.
Cool.
Today
And I'd love to see you
we'll
guys.
be there as a tour. We booked a tour.
We're gonna be collecting data.
Yeah.
All right, grand.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, good.
On that note, like, can we like show you real quick like positions because we're like doing sampling, stratified sampling at different parts of the map. So like, can we show like really quick what parts we're gonna look at? And
Yeah.
Second. You can see the screen?
Yep. Okay, the big map.
Yeah. These like red parts are like where we thought would be more suitable.
Right.
Like one right in front of the Anatara. Yeah. Do you know where are the actually like the flamingos? Where would you usually find them?
Okay, now you see the second next to the bridge on the right?
Yeah. This?
Okay. Now further down, you see the sandy area over there?
Yeah, this.
Okay. At low tide, because they eat the mollusks and stuff that come out. So at low tide, you're definitely going to see flamingos out there. And I think we spotted them when you were on your trip, right?
Yeah, we
we
did.
did.
Yeah. So that's the location they will hang about. They like that
Would they
beach
be there?
area.
Would they be there like in this afternoon? Do you think? It's high tide. It's high tide today.
It's high tide today. Then we're expecting them at low tide. You never know. You might get lucky. But usually, if it's low tide, they are able to walk and dig out the mollusks and stuff from the water. So it's low tide you want to target. But if it is high tide today and you are getting out there, then talk to Jess or talk to Joseph and tell them to show you the areas of the channel, because we couldn't take you guys because of the time, but you need to go inside the channel. That is where the two dots on either side are on the left. Okay, there you can see a channel going through.
This one?
Yeah, the little tiny one. There's a little tiny
Yeah.
channel. Okay, now those are the things you actually have to get into, because that's where you'll see life. You'll see herons, you'll see nests, you'll see the different types of marine life. You'll see the fish getting from tinier to larger. You'll see the stingrays, upside down jellyfish, and a lot of stuff, a lot of activity out there. So that's where you want to be, because as you well know, there is no vessel that can get inside there except a kayak.
Yeah, the reason is like why we chose these locations. Like we're trying to, because we're looking for stuff like motor vehicles there. We're looking at noise pollution recorded using our phones, and looking at the biodiversity. We're making like a biodiversity assessment to see how many animals we spot there. So we're kind of looking at like where there is more footfall and there's like more development, wider canals, more people passing. How does it affect like the first of all, like is there more noise pollution, and is there like more effect on the biodiversity? Is there like less animals that we spot? So yeah, so that's why like we chose a place like this one where it's like a small canal, because we think that we're gonna be spotting better stuff there, but also comparing it with something like a bigger canal, something next to the bridge, like in front of the Antara. So like different ideas.
Okay, that's grand. That's fantastic. I mean, you're targeting different areas, different thickness, different growth location. That's grand.
Yeah. So but just like really quick, do you think like if you can like label each like spot with a different in terms of like how much it's affected by the human activity, like how which one is the most affected by the human activity out of all these?
That would be the beach. No, I mean that is developed, so that is actually all human out there. So you can't. Well, we can't say that's part of nature, because that is a developed area. Okay, that's already been influenced. It's taken over by man, so it's no longer. I would say it's no longer part of the sanctuary, because it's ours.
Still like wildlife there.
You can see wildlife there on occasion, yes.
So like if you look at the opposite side of the mangroves and
you will still see wildlife.
Yeah,
you'll still see wildlife.
No doubt.
Probably
be like less wildlife compared to deeper areas in the mangrove.
Yeah, to deeper in. Now the other area you're targeting there, which is the beach we took you guys to, which is Fox Beach.
This one?
Yeah, the one with the bins on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that one's going to be the most visited area with everybody, because every boat can get out there. Every vessel, not boat, but every vessel can get out there. So that's visited a lot. And you'll notice when you go to the further parts and you get inside the channels, you're going to see less human. Yeah, over there, and even below that. Yeah, over there. Not a lot of people will go to those places, because one is it's a tiring kayak, and two, the bigger boats and vessels can't enter that area. So you're going to see that yes, there's a big difference between the areas you're picking out, which are pretty good. But you will also notice that in those areas, I don't want to say man. Yeah, it is man's impact is still there.
But
because
which one would be like more preserved in terms of like these three? Like which ones are like the most preserved in terms of these three locations?
I'll say the furthest one out.
This one.
Yeah, yeah.
But this channel was dredged by humans.
That entire channel is dredged, but
It's still not visited as much.
yeah, not visited as much because the big boats will just go up and go down. Nobody gets off anywhere. You're going to be in a kayak. You should find a tinier channel in there somewhere where you can get into, and you should see a lot more life out there.
To be
Here's
more
the-
like that compared to this tiny channel.
Yeah, that depends because life is life. They tend to move. Here's what you need to do. You need to talk to Jess about.
Yeah.
They've got their names. They've got names like Double D, and they've got Crab Alley, and they have names for these things because they basically went out there, they explored the entire area, gave it these names so that we could keep going back there. Right now, it is also high tide, so I haven't tried this since the bridge was built, but the dot you have there on the right side of the bridge,
Yeah.
okay, over there is another opening which the mangroves will be above you, and you can go through that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get out there, just talk to Jess and talk to Joseph. Tell them you'd like to visit these areas, and yeah, it'll be good if you get the data for that because I haven't been to some of these areas, and the reason I haven't been to some of these areas is because when I do have large groups, I can't. I can't take everybody in there because somebody's going to be left behind, and it's once you're in the channel, it's a one-way route. There's no turning around. Okay, so you go all the way through. So those are the issues I can't take big groups in. But now you're a small group. I would like you to experience it. And I will call Jess and tell him to expect you to give you some directions of getting in there. And if he's not too busy, I'll let him take you in there. But if you're collecting data, you should collect it from inside those mangroves. And you will notice the big difference from the big channel that everybody's on to those little inlets that nobody can get to. They can't get to it for two reasons. One is they don't have the right vessel, and number two, it's not mapped. So these boys, these guides, they know this area.
I think the way it is like we try to like take samples at areas where there's like high footfall and areas that are low. Yeah.
Okay.
So this one would be like high footfall. Like can you like maybe give us like an idea of rank them in terms of how much it will be affected by humans? Like apart from the one in front of the Anatara, like excluding this one, well, which way would you rank them? Like which one is most affected? Which one is least affected? Which one's like medium affected?
I'm gonna say that area pointing to Fox Beach. Okay, that is most affected, and somewhere I can't do this. What's the blue dot? Hang on, let me just zoom in. Okay, now that is the bird station.
Yeah.
Okay, the bird station is not as affected because not a lot of people go out there. But people do go out there, but not as much as they would go to Fox Beach.
That would be like
Okay.
second place in terms
That
of.
would be the second place would be the bird hide.
Okay. And then the third place is which one?
Well, the third place is actually a loop channel, which if I zoom in here, okay. How do I do it? How do I point it out to you guys?
You can just like give us directions, I think.
Okay, from Fox Beach,
Yeah.
from where it says swimming point, keep going up the channel. Take your
Just-
cursor, go, no, yeah, a little bit lower. Okay, that area, you see the sandy area there? That's low. That's very shallow area there. People
Yeah.
would visit that area.
So that's more affected than the birdhouse.
Yeah, because that's distance. That's how far people would kayak before getting tired, before stopping for a swim, before stopping. They probably stop there because they've seen a heron or two or something, and they can actually get out of their kayak and walk a little bit, and they get waist deep water over there.
So I'll just put this one here instead. Like you can take the data here.
Yeah.
Okay. So this like most affected, second most affected. Yeah, you can see this.
Oh no, I'll go Fox Beach first, most affected,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that area where you just put a red dot on, that will be second most affected because there is a looping channel in between those two. When you get there, I'll tell Jess to find you the loop channel where people go through. There's a campground. There's an old campground over there as well. It's not a built campground, but it's a marked campground, whereas they put some pieces of wood out there for people if they want to camp out there. And then the bird hide would be number 3, because these.
Yeah.
I think the bird hide, you marked it there where it says eco donut whatever checkpoint or whatever.
That's from Google Maps.
Yeah, I know. I get the same thing, but yeah.
Okay, so and then this like the this one that's like down this small channel. This would be
Yeah.
the fourth.
I'm not. Yeah, not a lot of people go down there, but people do go down there if they
Well,
have a
we
guided.
can move this. We can move this instead to like another position that's just like very very low. This is like meant to be the lowest spot, lowest visited, least visited.
Least visited, I'd give it. Yeah,
What do you
but
think?
visited nonetheless.
Yeah. So do you think we should move it elsewhere? That's like even less visited. This spot.
There's actually, to tell you the truth, on the other side of the bridge, what does it say here? Yeah, leisure. I don't know what the hell is that.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a kayak, but where the area of the flamingos are, there's 2 islands out there. One of those are called Camping Island, and those are least visited, but people do go out there and visit them, and they camp out there. They have a different footfall.
Is it far away? Is it like up there somewhere?
Yeah, it should take you a bit, take you about an hour to kayak over there.
What do you like? Do you think like is there like a small canal somewhere here that I should pinpoint instead to get like the least footfall in terms of the canals? Like which canal do you think is the least?
The least
Yeah, like in this area.
in that area, the least is going to be. Zoom in here. I'm going to say the least one is going to be exactly on the marker that you've put down with the 2 white dots, or the 4 white dots. Yeah, that one. Yes, I'm going to say
down here. Like that. I moved it a bit more. Is that better?
Yeah, but the thing is, how are you going to get there? I mean, the map's not. I don't know if you can kayak in that area.
Is it like too small to kayak in?
Yeah, it's too small to kayak in, and you can walk in there, but the ground is it's so slushy that your foot will go down all the way to its knees.
Okay, fine. Like, well, we're trying to like, because this whole like small canal is one of the least affected out of all the markers. So we
Yeah.
just want like to as a comparison. So this whole canal somewhere, somewhere down this point, down this canal is like the least affected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this will be our least affected spot.
Yeah, but who knows? You're probably going to find out something and tell me later on. So I will expect that. Yeah, because who knows? I mean, people don't actually know where to go. They mostly stay in the big channels where they feel safe, where they see other boats and they see other people. And it is that bit of adventure where you need to just get into one of the thinner channels and go for it and explore it. And, just got to be able to get out of it. That's all. That is the stuff that people don't see. They don't see what's in there. They don't see the magnificent life that you can actually see out there.
Okay, the final thing. This is like the last thing.
Yeah.
Do you recommend like, because we're doing like a biodiversity assessment, we're not sure which animals to spot, which animals to look for. Like,
Okay.
which one do you think we should be looking for? Well, like ones that we can clearly see in each site. I mean, like, not doesn't have to be like there, but in general, which animals are easy to spot that we can use as an indication of how biodiverse it is. Like, if we see 10 flamingos, for example, it means it's more biodiverse. If we see less birds, a specific type of bird, and so on. So which like, can you give us a few species names?
Yeah. If you see a gray heron, which is quite rare, so write down that gray heron. That's the largest heron there is. You're going to see egrets. They're white. You'll identify them easily. You're going to see the western reef heron, which is actually a gray heron. Okay. The gray heron isn't gray. It's got black wings.
Yeah.
But that's how they like to. What else are you going to see? You're going to see a lot of snappers. Let's put in marine life as well. Snappers. If you're lucky, you might see turtles. If you're lucky, you might see stingrays. But you definitely
think it'd be like easy to spot. You have to look in the water to see them. Yeah.
yeah, but you should see them. I mean, as you're kayaking, you should see tiny baby fish too. What they are, I don't know. But there could be either baby snappers, barracudas, whatever. But there's
You
going to
could
be
try to look for crabs, like
crabs. Definitely, you're going to look for the purple mottled crab, or just write purple crab if it's easier. Variety of different crabs. Okay, so you got the tree climbing crabs. So you got to look up in the trees next to the roots. They'll be black to purplish. On the beach itself, as you're kayaking, just looking at the water and looking down, you're going to see hermit crabs. And you're going to see ghost crabs on the beach itself. So definitely you've got to see crabs, fish. This is all the easy spots, okay?
Yeah.
Easy to spot. Lizards. What else are you going to see out there? Insect life, you should see dragonflies, spiders.
Yeah, but like these are like easy to spot from standing in a spot, like without looking too deep, because we're going to be like standing there trying to count as many of them as we see while we stay there. Yeah, so you think these are the most suitable to
Yeah,
assess?
easy to spot. Common ones, yeah.
What about flamingos? Should I add flamingos to this?
You can add flamingos, but you'll see them in distance, but you can add flamingos. So, I mean, that's an easy spot too. What else do we have? Upside down jellyfish, guys. They're easy to spot too. They will look like plants in the water. You've seen one, right? I think I've shown you
Yeah,
one.
you should
Yeah.
this one, yeah.
Yeah, so they look like plants, but they're actually jellyfish. These are easy spots. Like if you're looking around and you see something move, it's got to be one of them.
Do you think it's better to look for stingrays or to look for the jellyfish?
Jellyfish.
Okay, so jelly.
Yeah. Jellyfish
So
will be easier than the stingray. Stingrays will be mostly camouflaged, and unless you have the eyes for it,
So we have gray heron, egrets, western reef heron, snappers, turtles, jellyfish, crabs, and flamingos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the western reef heron, does it look the same as or a very similar way to the gray heron?
The western reef heron is actually gray,
So
and the gray heron has got a bit of a white face, gray head and body, and its wings are black tips. It is the largest heron there is, so you can't mistake him. He's quite big.
Are they like spotted in different places, or are they at the same places usually?
They usually are at the same places. One of them is nesting at on the point where you guys spotted the flamingos. One of them nests on that beach area there. So they're quite territorial. They keep going to the same spots. Now you put some plots over there where you're going to go a bit further. There are herons that are nesting in the trees over there as well.
Okay.
They like to be close to the water because that's food source for them. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's about it for this interviews kind of sort.
I'll tell you what, if you got questions or whatever, you want to fire a WhatsApp at me, I'll just I'll use my voice message and send it.
We'll message you if we need anything.
Yeah, thanks so
Cool.
much.
Hey, don't worry about it. Let me know how this goes. Okay,
Yeah.
and talk to Jess and talk to Joseph out there. I'll make sure I call them right now and tell them that, give you guys some pointers and places to go that are really cool.
Wait, I have a question. Are the snappers are fish, yeah?
Yeah, they fish.
They're easy to spot while looking in the water, yeah?
They're the most common ones there are. They'll have a black dot on their neck. Now, most of the time you're going to actually see baby fish, and I don't know, can't identify baby fish, but there's thousands of baby fish out there. So, but you'll see the snappers and you'll see the bigger ones, which is damn it. I will actually ask Jess if he has one of my charts on the site, so you can take a chart with you. Identification chart of all the wildlife things.
And the turtles would they be like on the side or like on the sand?
On the surface, They usually come over there. They'll be very close to the sand. They like to sun themselves out
Next to
there.
the crabs, yeah. So the crabs and the turtles will be next to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They like to sun themselves out there, and plus they get food source as well. So,
Mhm.
Okay.
but again, you know, it's all a luck thing. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know. I think maybe instead of turtles, what's the other common thing? Maybe you need a bug life or something. Put some bugs.
Yeah.
Do you have any insects there? You've got birds. You've got marine life.
Because the way we're looking at it, we're trying to think of something that's easy to spot while looking for everything else as well.
All right. When you're out there, if you hear a buzzing sound, that's a cicada. So even though you can't see it,
It's what?
it's a cicada.
How do you write it?
I think it's spelled with a C. A cicada. Yeah. So you might not see it, but it is an insect out there. Let me see how to spell Cicada.
Yeah.
Cicada. Yep, cicada. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You might not see it, but you hear the sound like it's very loud. One of them can emit a really loud sound. So yeah, they should be right there.
So as a final, I wanted to ask you, is it possible if we can get some data for maybe the number of visitors? Because I asked you this like last time we were there. I asked you if you can get data for how many visitors actually visited the AC Mangroves each year or maybe each season. Do you have any
Okay,
data?
I can give you that. I'll probably WhatsApp that number to you. I just need to look on our booking system to give you a rough idea. And since I've never done that, that's something I'll have to do.
Is there like a number of visitors for each?
Yeah,
each season?
not from the other companies. From mine, I can give you.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. So number of visitors for each season, yeah?
Yeah, I can do that. I can give you numbers for that. I'll probably send you a chart.
Yeah,
Which will be
definitely.
easier. Just show you
Yeah.
a chart that will
Do you
be.
also like have something maybe for the number of schools, like as an indication of how much education was?
Yeah, I can give you that. Oh, okay, yeah, I can send you this. What is this thing? Booking and website visitors, staff bookings. All right. Maybe I'll take a screenshot of this, but please don't flash this around. Just use
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
schools. I don't know. The thing is, visitors are visitors. I don't know how to separate that. I'll probably there's something on this thing that will help me separate it.
If there isn't, that's fine. Like just whatever we can really appreciate all of this.
Cool, man. No problem. Yeah, I'll send this to you right now. I'll just take a quick screenshot of the bookings. How does this work? Okay, 1,380 visitors, December. What are we in now? We're in March?
Yeah,
February.
February. Yeah.
Oh, we're still low. How the hell does this work? Oh, I'll just send it to you, man. I'm not gonna figure this out. I don't do this stuff. So yeah, okay. I'll take a screenshot of this and send this to you. If there's other information you need, WhatsApp me. I will send over whatever I can. And yeah, man, good stuff. Change the world.
Yeah.
Something in life, change the world.
I'm the aspiring
Cool.
Egyptian president.
Cool, man.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Alright.
much.
No worries, guys. You take it easy.
You too.
I'll talk to you guys soon. All right.
See you. Thank
See
you.
you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was so long.
What do you know? Fucking asking each individual fucking.
Bro, yeah. I'm trying to get like the proper data. That's not my fault.
How do I stop?
Wait for him to come.
Pause. Stop. Pause.
Imagine